Here's a number that sounds fake until you check it. 77 million Americans currently pay for a gym membership. 77 million, that's more people than the entire population of the United Kingdom, all handing over money every single month to a business that, most of the time, they don't even use. And that right there is the dirty secret of the entire fitness industry. It's not really a fitness business. It's a payments business that happens to have treadmills in it. Planet Fitness figured this out years ago and turned it into a billion-dollar machine. Meanwhile, dozens of boutique studios open every year with beautiful branding, a great Instagram page, and a founder who genuinely loves fitness. And they're closed within 18 months. So what's actually going on here? Why do some gyms print money on $10 memberships, while others go bankrupt, charging $200 a class? Why does one CrossFit box owner take home $4,000 a month, while the guy who owns 3 Anytime Fitness locations down the street is clearing $250,000 a year? Stick around, because by the end of this video you're going to understand exactly how this industry actually makes its money, the real startup numbers, where the profit is hiding, and the mistake that kills almost every new gym before it even gets a fair shot. And trust me, that last part is the one nobody tells you before you sign a lease. Let's zoom out first. In the US alone, there are roughly 93,000 gyms, health clubs, and fitness studios operating right now. Globally, the fitness industry is on track to hit somewhere around $115 billion by 2026. Here's what's interesting though: growth isn't happening evenly. The middle of the market, your standard $25 to $75 a month gym, is basically flat. But the two extremes are exploding. Budget gyms under $25 a month have seen membership jump nearly 70% in recent years. And at the same time, premium gyms charging $75 to $100 a month have grown over 20%. In other words, the middle is dying, and the edges are thriving. That's not a coincidence. That's a direct result of how this business actually makes money, which we're about to get into. There is also a detail that a lot of first-time owners completely miss. Location isn't just about foot traffic, it's about income. The data shows that the majority of successful fitness franchises perform best in areas where the median household income is above $75,000, with at least 50,000 people living within a 5-mile radius. Pick the wrong zip code and no amount of marketing saves you. Now, before we get into the money, you need to understand that gym isn't one business. It's at least 4 completely different businesses wearing the same outfit. Type 1, the big box budget gym. Think Planet. Huge floor space, minimal staff, memberships as low as $10 a month, and revenue that comes almost entirely from volume, thousands of members who barely show up. Startup cost here is steep, often $500,000, and for a full Crunch Fitness or Planet Fitness style build-out, it can run into the millions once you include equipment, leasehold improvements, and build-out. The genius of this model is what's called breakage. You're selling access, not attendance. If you have 3,000 members paying $10 a month, that's $30,000 in guaranteed monthly revenue, and the gym only needs enough equipment and space to comfortably handle maybe 300 people at once, because the other 2,700 simply won't show up on any given day. That gap between what people pay for and what they actually use is where the entire model lives. Type 2, the 24-hour unmanned franchise. This is your Anytime Fitness. Your Snap Fitness. Small footprint, key fob access, barely any staff because the doors are open all night, with nobody behind the counter. According to Anytime Fitness's own franchise disclosure filings, the average location pulls in revenue from 3 main sources: monthly membership dues, personal training revenue, and pay-per-visit fees. What makes this model attractive to owners is brutal efficiency, low labor costs because there is no front desk to staff at 2 a.m., and low square footage because you're not running group classes that need big open rooms. Type 3, the boutique studio. CrossFit boxes, F45, Orange Theory, Pilates studios, boxing gyms. Smaller space, premium pricing, and a business model built almost entirely on community and coaching, rather than raw equipment. Startup costs are dramatically lower, often somewhere between $10,000 and $50,000 for an independent studio, since you don't need 40 treadmills. You need 1 open room and some kettlebells. But the pricing per minute member is much higher, sometimes $150 to $200 a month or more. Here's the wild part: boutique fitness studios routinely post the highest profit margins in the entire industry. sometimes 20 to 50%, compared to just 10 to 15% for large format gyms. Smaller footprint, lower rent, higher price per customer. That math just works better. Type 4, the premium full-service franchise Equinox, Lifetime Fitness, or a high-end regional health club. Pools, spas, childcare, restaurants inside the building, personal training suites, basically a country club without the golf course. Startup cost for this tier can run anywhere from $1.5 million for a mid-size location up to $20 million for a flagship facility. This is the highest risk, highest capital model on this list, but it also commands the highest price per minute Ember, and the deepest loyalty. Once someone's paying $300 a month, they tend to stick around. So right there, you've got 4 completely different bets. Volume at rock bottom pricing. Lean efficiency. With minimal staff, premium coaching in a small footprint. Or a capital-heavy luxury experience. Pick the wrong one for your budget, and your market, and you're fighting the business model itself before you even open the doors. This is the part most people get completely wrong going in. They think the money is in the workout. It's not. The money is in 5 separate revenue streams stacked on top of each other. Stream 1. Membership dues. This is the baseline. The recurring monthly fee. Depending on your model, that's anywhere from $10 a month at a budget big box gym to $300 or more at a premium studio. Stream 2. Personal training. This is often the highest margin line item in the entire business. A trainer might cost you $20 to $30 an hour to employ, and you're charging the client $60, $80, sometimes over $100 for that same hour. At Anytime Fitness location specifically, personal training revenue is tracked as one of their 3 core revenue categories precisely because it moves the needle that much. Stream 3. Classes and add-on programming group, high AT classes, recovery sessions, nutrition coaching. This is where hybrid membership tiers come in. Many gyms now charge an extra $19 to $49 a month just for access to premium classes, or app-based coaching on top of the base membership. Stream 4. Recovery and wellness upsells. This is the fastest growing category in the entire industry right now. Saunas, cryotherapy, red light therapy, compression boot sessions. These aren't cheap to install, but they carry strong margins because members will pay a premium for anything that feels like recovery, rather than more exercise. Stream 5. Retail and merchandise supplements, branded apparel, shaker bottles, recovery tools. On its own this is a small slice, but across thousands of members it adds up, and industry data suggests upselling across all these categories, combined training, retail, and specialty services can add 20 to 30% on top of your base membership revenue. Here's the real insight. The gyms that struggle are almost always running on membership dues alone. The gyms that thrive are stacking 3, 4, sometimes all 5 of these streams on the same member base. Same building, same equipment, same staff, dramatically different revenue per second square foot. And there is one more piece of this puzzle that changes everything: retention. Research from Harvard Business Review found that improving member retention by just 5% can increase profits by 25 to 95%. Read that again. A 5% retention improvement. Not 5% more members. Just keeping the ones you already have a little longer can nearly double your profit. That's not a minor optimization. That's the single highest leverage thing an owner can focus on. Now for the part that ends most gyms before they get anywhere close to profitable. Rent. This is usually the single biggest fixed cost, typically running 15 to 25% of total revenue. A lot of first-time owners get seduced by a cheap location in a low-traffic strip mall, thinking they'll save money, and then spend 3 times as much on marketing trying to convince people to drive there. Cheap rent in the wrong spot isn't actually cheap. Payroll, front desk, staff, trainers, class instructors, cleaning crew. This typically eats 30 to 40% of revenue, and it's the expense that grows the fastest as you add more classes and services, because more revenue streams usually mean more people on the clock. Equipment. A small boutique studio might get away with $10,000 to $40,000 in equipment. A full commercial gym outfitting cardio, strength machines, and free weights can easily run $500,000 to $1 million. And equipment isn't a one-time cost. Commercial-grade machines take a beating from constant use and need ongoing maintenance and eventual replacement. Utilities. For a mid-sized 24-hour facility, utilities alone, HVAC, lighting, hot water for showers, typically run $5,000 to $8,000 a month. Keep the lights and air conditioning running all night for a 24-hour gym. And that bill doesn't take a day off. Franchise fees. If you go that route, if you're buying into a franchise, rather than going independent, you're paying royalty fees of roughly 4 to 10% of your revenue, plus another 1 to 3% for national marketing contributions. On a gym doing $500,000 a year, that alone can mean $25,000 to $50,000 annually, just to keep the franchise name on the door. Insurance and compliance. Gyms carry real liability exposure: injuries, equipment accidents, slip and falls in locker rooms. Insurance premiums, health code compliance, and safety certifications are non-negotiable ongoing costs. Add it all together, and here's the sobering number for most gyms: total monthly operating costs land somewhere between 75 and 85% of total revenue. That means the difference between a gym that's comfortably profitable and one that's barely surviving often comes down to just a few percentage points of efficiency: the rent you negotiated, the payroll you scheduled, the retention rate you maintained. Here's where it gets genuinely interesting, because how profitable is a gym doesn't have one answer. It depends entirely on which of the 4 models you picked back in Section 2. Large format traditional gyms and big franchise operations typically run profit margins of just 10 to 15%. That's thin. On $500,000 in revenue, that's $50,000 to $75,000 a year for the owner. Solid, but not life-changing, especially after the hours you're putting in. Boutique fitness studios and personal training operations tell a completely different story: margins between 20 and 50%. Some of the highest in the entire fitness sector. CrossFit boxes, specifically, average around 27% margin, largely because of low overhead, small spaces, and premium pricing. Now let's talk about what that means for actual take-home pay, because the averages here vary depending on who you ask. ZipRecruiter puts the average gym owner's salary at around $86,000 a year, with top performers clearing over $200,000. Other sources that track more established, systems-driven operators report averages closer to $109,000. The honest, boring truth in the middle of all that noise: most gym owners in their first few years are taking home somewhere around $4,000 to $7,000 a month, and that's after the gym is already established, not during the scramble to open it. As for timeline, most gyms hit operational break-even, meaning the day-to-day bills are covered, somewhere between 6 and 18 months. But full payback of your original startup investment, that typically takes 4 to 8 years. This is not a get-rich-quick business. It's a slow compounding one, and the owners who succeed are the ones who treat it that way from day one. One more thing that separates the winners from everyone else: pre-selling. Gyms that line up 50 to 200 committed members before the doors even open reach profitability dramatically faster than gyms that open cold and hope people show up. Every additional 50 members you pre-sell can shave months off your break-even timeline. If there is one tactical takeaway from this entire video, it might be that: 1. Churn is the silent killer. Members cancel constantly. New Year's resolution. People vanish by March. Summer bodies get achieved or abandoned by June. Gyms with monthly churn under 6% are almost always profitable. Gyms above that number are running on a treadmill of their own, constantly having to replace members just to stand still. Seasonality will mess with your cash flow. January is a gold rush. Late spring and early fall usually spike too. But the slow months are real, and if you haven't planned your cash reserves around that rhythm, a quiet March can feel like a crisis even in a fundamentally healthy business. Contracts and cancellations are a legal minefield. Membership agreements, auto-renewal clauses, cancellation policies. Several states have specific consumer protection laws around gym contracts, specifically because this industry has a long history of complaints. Get this wrong and you're not just losing a member, you're inviting a dispute. Competition is brutal, and getting worse. Budget gyms are fighting each other on price. Boutique studios are popping up on every corner of every trendy neighborhood. And now home fitness. Peloton, Tonal, YouTube workouts, is quietly stealing the most price-sensitive segment of the market, entirely out from under brick-and-mortar gyms. Not every big name is a safe bet. Even celebrity-backed franchises aren't immune. One high-profile boxing and fitness franchise lost more than half its U.S. locations in a single year. A famous name on the door does not guarantee the unit economics behind it actually work, and liability never goes away. Someone drops a barbell on their foot, someone slips near the pool, someone gets hurt doing a class move with bad form. This is a physical business, and the insurance and legal exposure that comes with it is simply part of the deal, permanently. Here's the pattern that shows up again and again in this industry. Nobody gets rich off one gym. They get rich off 5, 10, 20 gyms under one operating system. Multi-unit franchise owners can spread management overhead, negotiate better equipment, pricing at scale, cross-train staff between locations, and critically diversify their risk. If one location has a bad quarter, because a competitor opened across the street, 4 other locations are still carrying the business. This is exactly why fitness franchising as a whole has grown at nearly 5% a year, and is projected to keep climbing toward nearly $4 billion in the US alone. The owners who go from a comfortable $70,000 salary to a genuine multi-$100,000 income are almost never the ones who perfected a single location. They're the ones who took a working formula and repeated it, market after market, location after location. So is owning a gym actually worth it? If you're picturing yourself as a passionate trainer who opens a gym because you love fitness, and figures the business side will just sort itself out, this industry will humble you fast. The gyms that fail aren't failing because the owner didn't care about fitness. They're failing because nobody built the retention systems, picked the right pricing model, or stacked enough revenue streams to survive month 4. But if you go in treating this like what it actually is, a recurring revenue business that happens to involve dumbbells, the math can genuinely work in your favor. Pick the right model for your budget and your market. Stack your revenue streams instead of relying on membership dues alone, and obsess over retention more than you obsess over signups, because that one number affects your profit more than almost anything else in this entire business. People joining a gym on January 1st and never fully committing to showing up. Honestly, that's not a bug in this business model. For the right owner, running the right numbers, that's the feature. If this breakdown gave you a clearer picture of how this industry actually works, subscribe, because next time, we're taking apart the economics of a completely different business. And I think you're going to want to see the numbers on that one too.